Hello, beautiful people. Mohana here. Oh, I am doing amazing. I am totally beautiful and blessed and at peace. I thank the Lord. So I got some few questions. I did a questionnaire on my Instagram page. If you have not followed me, you should. Teresia Waidera. And then I was like, these questions are so amazing. I would really want to answer them. And so the first question was, how did you notice you need change and healing? My goodness, this is so amazing. I noticed when I was dying, like I was in my darkness when I noticed that, shoot, woman, you have been doing you're doing bad. It's good to tell yourself when you're doing bad. Like when you're in that moment of stagnation, a moment where you're not seeing yourself or your goals or your life clearly. There is a voice in your head that is so loud that torments you and makes you sick, but the world cannot notice it. And so I got to a point where I was like, oh, shoot, these are really bad habits that I have. And this is like total drunkenness. Drunkenness that makes people sijui wanaku osha osha, wanakutengeneza. You need to start looking at your habits that you're having and they are bad and they are not good for you. And that's a very serious meeting that you need to have with yourself, because this journey entails you listening to your inner voice. And so if my inner voice was my enemy and I was my own enemy, I started creating a relationship of me talking to my inner self. Now, not in a shouting manner, because I was so used to that. When I find myself doing bad habits, I talk to myself so harshly. And so I was like, why do you talk to yourself like this? What makes you have such a tone on yourself? And so I started noting down. I have a list. I call it the disrespectful list. The disrespectful list are the things that I have disrespected myself in the areas of my life, in different areas of my life. I wrote down how I have been disrespecting myself. I wrote down how I've been having friends that are not in alignment with what I want in my purpose, in my goals. Like, you have people who are pulling you down rather than pushing you up. And so I sat down, and this is such a crucial moment because it's what I call reflecting. Reflecting has saved my life. You need to sit down and start thinking about your life and the decisions you've been making. You need to ask yourself, have I been making the right decisions? Maybe the decisions I've been making, they are the ones that have been putting me in this situation financially, mentally. Maybe that's why my family is not yeah, you start now blaming yourself rather than blaming people. I got tired of blaming people for my bad behaviors, and so I was like, why there are these are your habits, this is the decision and the choices you have been making, and they are not right. And so that meeting that I had with myself, and when I look at the level of disrespect that I was disrespecting myself, it made me want to have something different. All those dark days and dark nights and the overthinking in my head that's driving me crazy, it gave me a feeling of like, you need to sort things out, because your life matters so much more than anything in this world. Like, you have to take your life seriously, because nobody will do that for you. Nobody will come and say you need to change that mindset. Like, it's for you to be icked by the behaviors that you have. And so that's how I noticed I want to change. I started seeing that my version is not feeding me. That version of me is not helping me become the woman that I envision in my mind. And so that was like, that disrespectful list made me what my disrespectful list made me come up with a list of how do I choose to respect myself. What are some of the things that I choose to do that are now I'm going to start respecting myself? And I was like, for me to be the woman I envision, I need to change my belief system. A belief system. Someone asked me about a mindset. Mindset change is a journey. Your mindset does not change by a day. You take time. You start asking yourself, why are you believing the thing? Why do you believe the things that you are believing? And so those will come from childhood traumas. It will come from maybe your culture. It will come from maybe your parents have told you something that you're not. And so you've been serving only them and not yourself. It comes to a place where you're like, oh, I've just been having this persona and this facade thing just because it makes people feel good. It makes people feel that I'm doing amazing and I am moving. So I choose to do those things. And so it came to this certain day that I said, enough is enough, Waidera. Enough is enough. And you need to come to such a point of saying that enough is enough with how I've been treating myself, how I have been talking to myself, how I have been seeing my life, seeing your life in a negative manner as if you won't succeed. All those, you start asking yourself, why do you tell yourself you cannot succeed? Who lied? Because sometimes the voices in our heads, they are not even yours. Sometimes it's a voice from your parents, maybe you had years ago, and you continue believing what they said, and maybe they said it while they were very angry, and so you took it, you carried it, and you still have it right now that you're an adult. And so a mindset is brick by brick change. If you had a bad habit of like just randomly watching just things and maybe whatever you watch, what would you want to be watching now? I said I would want to be watching things that can transform my mind, things that are inspiring to me. I want to follow people who inspire me. I want to follow YouTube YouTube pages and YouTube channels. I mean, YouTube channels that make me a better person. So these are habits I was not doing before. Now you start incorporating the good habits, and the bad habits start declining because you're now setting something new. And let me tell you, humility will save your life. I have to be so humble. I had to be so humble and tell myself, Waidera, can you just tell yourself that you do not know things and you would want to learn things in a new way? And so be humble. For you to attain knowledge, you have to be humble. Like I had to learn how to learn. I learned how do I learn? I had to go to such a journey of telling myself, how do you learn, Waidera? Why do you tell yourself you cannot read? Maybe it's just because you are told this is how people read. These are the people who are supposed to read. You're not supposed to read. Or you, it's not the kind of person who you read. And I'm like, who told you those lies? Why are you believing these things? Now you start unpacking brick by brick, thought by thought. You need to start listening to yourself. It's a journey, self reflection, mindfulness, sitting down with yourself. Even if it's such a, in the beginning, it's easier said than done because sometimes you're your worst enemy. So you're running to your phone, to music, you want to self distract, you want to do other things, you're distracting yourself with you believing you cannot attain the success that you see in your head. Who told you? Who lied to you all these things? So as I went by, I started affirming words biblically. So I'm like, what does God say about me? What does God say about my mindset? What does God say about my brain? What does God say about my feelings and emotions? And I'm like, oh, Jesus felt everything that I'm feeling in this world. And so he felt them and never let anything, because he was so expressive. And so we've been raised in a culture where you do not express how you feel. I started learning how to express myself, learning how to express how you feel, standing in front of the mirror naked and telling yourself, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You start now saying, if you've been telling yourself, I am not beautiful or seeing faults, now you start asking yourself, what does God say? Because the truth of God is going to set you free. People are going to talk. There are a lot of voices in the world, but the voice of God tells you the truth. The truth that you need. So, is it addiction? Face it with love. Stop condemning yourself because you're addicted to a substance. Because God knows you do all these things. He does not want you to clean up so you can come to Him. He wants you to be like so honest. I have anger issues, Daddy. I have jealousy issues, and they are so in my heart. And I would want a new heart created in me, because these are the things and the weaknesses that we face, and they are the ones that are hindering you to be the fullest of who God says you are. Those things, those weaknesses za uko ndani ndani that you're not telling people, they are the ones. Those are the huge things that you need to go into a journey and work on. And so, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to addressing all the other in a video on YouTube. Thank you.